I'd like to call the Tuesday, April 21st, 2015 Papillion City Council meeting to order. Mrs. Butler, would you please take the roll?
Florence. Mumgard. Gaines. Glover. Jaworski. Klug. Stubbe. Ingberg.
We've got some scouts with us tonight, and I'd like to invite you guys up to help me with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We've also got a proclamation today for Arbor Day. We once again were selected as Tree City USA. Tom Lundell is here with the tree board. Have him answer a few questions, maybe make a few comments, but I'd first like to go ahead and give an official proclamation for Arbor Day. Whereas trees are a natural resource in our community, providing aesthetic benefits by bringing beauty into our neighborhood, softening the landscape, protecting water resources, cooling us in summer's heat, warming us in winter's icy grip, and allowing us to experience natural beauty where we live, work, and play. And whereas our urban forest is a diversity of trees gracing our streets, parks, and greenways, they are magical jungle gyms to our children, their branches reaching to the sky, providing a place of exercise and frolic, a place apart from the hustle and bustle of our busy worlds, and a place to fantasize and dream. Sounds like Dr. Seuss. Whereas planting a tree says we believe in the future. Planting a tree says we will overcome the toughest obstacles to survive yet another generation. Planting a tree says our children will inherit a better world. And whereas Arbor Day is a special day set aside for the planting of trees, it recognizes the roots planted by past generations and symbolizes our hope and commitment for future generations. Now therefore, I, David P. Black, by virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of the city of Papillion, do hereby proclaim April 24th, 2015 as Arbor Day in the city of Papillion, encourage people throughout the entire city to become more involved with the planting and stewardship of the urban forest through the year of 2015. Tom? Maybe share a little bit about the tree board and what we're doing with Arbor Day, and if people aren't aware, the very first tree board we had actually had, Mike was on there, wasn't he? He was on the very first one, so it's been around for quite a while. So thank you for everything you do.
Sure, thank you.
Thanks.
Well, it's really gratifying to know how this community proves over and over again that it has its priorities in the right place, and so I really appreciate everything that you've done to make this happen. The tree nursery that we've established is a big part of what we can give back to the community, and it can be pretty cost effective, and so we're ongoing with that. I don't know what else to say. Have you got any questions?
A little bit about Arbor Day program. Who's the speaker this year?
The speaker will be
Arbor Day is Friday, and we're going to have it at the Papillion Bay Recreation Fields. And our speaker this year is Dr. Jeff Strohmeyer.
And he's a physician, so how's that tied to Arbor Day?
The tree board came up with a really good theme this year, Safe in the Shade. And so he's going to be addressing issues related to health and sun safety. And so I thought the tree board did a really good job this year with that.
And then in the past, the Papillion Junior Women's Club has always partnered with you to apply for the OPPD grant. Are they getting that again this year too? So great partnership. Thank you for all you do.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. Do we have an affidavit of publication on file?
That is correct.
And a current copy of the Open Meeting Act is posted in the back of the council chambers. Mr. Hoynes, Administrator's report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. In a few moments this evening, you're going to be considering a couple of agenda items related to Slide This City. We first broached this subject, I think, probably about January. Councilmember Klug actually is one of the first that put it on my radar, and then within a matter of days, actually, I think I mentioned back then that Tammy from the Recreation Department, I don't know, is Tammy here tonight? Yeah. Raise your hand, Tammy. There you go, Count. There's some of your young, youthful, excited workers for city government that in the middle of the night say, hey, can we do this? And people like Lori listen to her, and what that has grown into is this thing isn't the technical term has been bumped yet. But as of this afternoon, 5,400 people have indicated interest in coming to that event in Papillion. And
It's now at 6,100.
6,100. I told Lori just before the meeting and talking to Kim Ehlers, maybe we should do Sunday too, but I don't know if we want to go that far. But so Carla's worked real hard, Jeff Thompson, in the process to make sure that certainly there's some liability issues.
It's now at 6,200.
Wow. Okay, we are going to do it on Sunday. No, that's not an announcement, by the way. But it's really unique. And again, I just really want to point out to Tammy, that's why I asked her to raise her hand in there, that I'm not so sure that without her energy that this would be where it's at today. So thank you, Tammy. Staying on a recreation theme, Sumter Amphitheater, we've all known for years, and we've tried to find our sweet spot for that particular use. But Lori reported this morning at the staff meeting that last year we had 3 ticketed events out there. This year we have 11 ticketed events, and there's a very wide range of music out there, all genres that are coming through, and there's a total, I think, of 19 events, did you tell me? And they're up from 9, so almost over doubled the activity out, and we've done well in previous years, and so I think credit certainly to Doug Huggins. I mentioned and suggested maybe he wants to go to work on commission after this year. He's worked really hard to get that. And my last recreation, I guess you get the tiara at the staff meeting on your staff next time, Lori. The first race series, May 17th, the half marathon, that's been, 10 plus years or so. They've been doing that, but would put out a plea to council members in particular and the public at large. Lori does a good job with this and her 4 full-time employees that she had, but it can't happen without volunteers, and we're in need of volunteers right now. There's been some transitioning out, and so if you're interested as a council member coming out and helping, I know several of you have done that before, shoot Nicole an email. She's working with Lori or in the public. If you just want to come out and get back to your community, contact Lori at the Recreation Department here, and you would be a big help, and it helps keep that cost down. 2 budget-related items, council members. I think on the 17th received the monthly sales tax reporting. Still very, very positive from Papillion's perspective. As of year to date, we're trending 11.7% over last year's collections, and that's good. That's very good. So sales tax continues to be very strong in Papillion. Finally, conclude my report, the annual budget process, the department heads for next year, they're working on revenue projections. Here in the next couple of weeks, they'll go into the expense side of their ledgers. As you well know, we'll parrot previous years. June, July, the budget is council work time. It's generally introduced the first meeting in August, public hearing the second, the final adoption the first meeting in September. It's got to be at the state by September 20th. So this is the point, council members, if you really have that project that you would like, give me a call and we'll sit down and do our best to plug that in. And this isn't your last chance. This is really just the first shot that, hey, budgets are really getting in earnest. We're working on that for next year. So let us know, because the earlier we know, the easier it is for us to make all of the pieces of the puzzle fit together in the upcoming budget. That concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion by Councilman Jaworski, second by Councilwoman Klug. Do we have any proponents? Do we have any opponents? Any council discussion? Please vote.
8 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Next is item D1, Ordinance 1714, an ordinance to amend the budget statement to be termed the annual appropriation bill, which was adopted on November 18, 2014 by Ordinance 1702 to appropriate sums for necessary expenses and liabilities and to provide for an effective date. Is there a council member that will introduce? Introduced by Councilman Klug. Item F1, Ordinance 1704, an ordinance to amend Chapter 92, Article 3, Section 15, subsections A and F of the Papillion Municipal Code, having to do with the adoption of the National Electric Code and to provide for an effective date. Is there a motion to approve Ordinance 1704? Motion by Councilman Ingberg. Second by Councilman Florence. Any council discussion? If anybody's got any questions, Mr. Craig is here. Please vote.
8 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Item F2, Resolution R15-0072. A resolution to approve an indemnification and insurance agreement for the Slide the City event on August 1st, 2015. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R150072? Motion by Councilwoman Klug. Second by Councilman Gaines. Do we have any proponents? Do we have any opponents? Any council discussion? Mr. Jaworski.
How are we going to get back up the hill when we slide down?
Tow rope. Mr. Memgard.
Yeah, I was wondering, why is it necessary for us to pass this resolution? Is it solely because they're going to be using the state highway?
We're using Washington Street as Highway 85, so the next agenda item is our application to the state to be able to use that. And that state legislation, when that is passed, moves the liability from the state to us, so we're moving it on to them.
But if this was not on a state highway, would we have to approve this, or could this be done administratively? I guess I saw we typically don't approve insurance that somebody else is providing for us, and I was wondering, is it because of the involvement of the state? I can certainly understand that.
Mrs. Rupepper?
In this case, it is because of the state. We're basically just passing along what risk that we're taking on by virtue of closing the highway, and that's the indemnity that we assure the state. So we're just passing that along in this case. And also we wanted to make sure, so indemnification was the primary purpose of the agreement. We really reinforced the insurance requirements, which are already there by virtue of the permitting process.
Okay, and I'm not concerned about it, but I'm a little bit curious as to the impact that statutory change has. The change in the statute that makes us go through that next step. A change that I thought the Department of Roads didn't need, but of course they insisted they had to have it, and so we had to go to the legislature. And I'm looking to see impact here. Did you have any discussion with well, let me back up. I assume that the Slide the City people routinely have insurance agreements with the city that they're doing business in.
It's my understanding that they do have insurance agreements. It's not so common to have an indemnification agreement, but they've also told me that in those states where they have conducted this event, those states have not required indemnification by the city where they're sliding. So they were very understanding that we were simply passing on the risk that we were taking on their behalf, really.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, whether they were, hesitant, balking, or had any issues with the fact that we were asking them not only to indemnify and insure us, but the state of Nebraska also. Was that an issue with the Slide the City people?
No, not really. It was simply a conversation I had. She appreciated the call, so she understood why we would be asking for that and the explanation.
See, and I'm assuming that it drives the cost up for the Slide the City folks, because now the risk has gotten higher. I don't know that for a fact.
I don't know. She indicated that it might increase their cost, but it's not going to change the cost to the public. It was my understanding, the ticket pricing. And
well, as I have indicated, I'll be blunt, I think that the statutory change that was demanded by the Department of Roads was overkill, unnecessary, bureaucratic baloney. And this is an example of some of the consequences of this and the next thing. But that's where the legislature, the Department of Roads has left us, so I guess we ought to approve it.
That would describe the Department of Roads in that situation, which is what forced us to go to the legislature to make the change so they would cooperate with us. So, but now we have the bike races and the other things. My understanding, too, from Slide the City is, because it is a unique event, they run into a number of things in different states and different municipalities, things that people are concerned about, water quality and those types of things. So they're learning as they go, and my understanding is they've been very cooperative, and they've got some additional costs built into their structure. It's just the cost, depending on the locality they're at, just changes what that cost was. Any other discussion? Please vote.
8 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Related item, item F3, Resolution R150079, a resolution to approve the temporary use of State Highway Nebraska 85 Washington Street from the 6th Street intersection to the 1st Street intersection on August 1st, 2015 from 4 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. for the Slide the City event. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R150079? Motion by Councilman Ingberg. Second by Councilman Stube. Any proponents? Do we have any opponents? Any other council discussion? Please vote.
8 yeas, 0 nays.
I do want to mention in relation to this, we've got a partnership with the Downtown Business Association. When the idea first came up, we understood that this could have positive or negative impact to the downtown businesses because we're running right down 84th Street. So when it first came up, we reached out to the board of the Historical Downtown Business Association immediately to see what were their thoughts on it. Did they want it? What were issues and concerns? And so we've got a very good partnership with them. In fact, Kim Ehlers, who's the president of the association, is here. And we're also bringing in some of the Terra Plaza Association. So Angie is here as well. Thank you guys for your partnership on this event. I think the businesses are excited about what the potential is for them. Next is item F4. Resolution R150077, a resolution to approve a final plat for the property legally described as part of Tax Lot 8 and Tax Lot 1, Section 19, Township 14 North, Range 12 East of the 6th PM, Sarpy County, Nebraska, generally located northeast of 126th Street and Cornhusker Road. The applicant is Woodland Homes. It's in North Shore Phase 3. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R150077? Motion by Councilman Stube, second by Councilwoman Klug. Do we have any proponents? Do we have any Go ahead.
Predall with Lamperneerson on behalf of the applicant.
Thank you. Do we have any other proponents? Do we have any opponents? Council discussion? Please vote.
8 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Next is item F5, Ordinance 1692. An ordinance to approve the change of zone of certain real property within the zoning jurisdiction of the City of Papillion, Sarpy County, Nebraska, legally described as part of Tax Lot 8 in the south half of the southeast quarter, together with that part of Tax Lot 1 in the south half of the southwest quarter, all in Section 19, Township 14 North, Range 12 East of the 6th PM, Sarpy County, Nebraska, generally located northeast of 126th Street and Cornhusker Road, from agricultural AG to multifamily residential R4, to amend the official zoning map of the City of Papillion by changing the zoning district boundaries of the zoning map in accordance with Section 20532 of the Papillion Municipal Code, and to provide for an effective date. Is there a motion to approve Ordinance 1692? Motion by Councilman Jaworski. Second by Councilman Glover. In your packet, there is a request for the motion to amend Ordinance 1692. It's to adjust the number of outlots in North Shore Phase 3, and then also to change the location from 126th and Lincoln to 126th and Cornhusker. Is there a motion? Motion to amend by Councilman Ingberg. Second by Councilwoman Klug. Any discussion on the motion to amend? Please vote on the motion to amend.
8 yeas, 0 nays.
Is there any discussion on the motion as amended? Please vote on Ordinance 1692 as amended.
8 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Next is item F6, Resolution R150078. A resolution to approve the First Amendment to the North Shore Subdivision Agreement. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R150078? Motion by Councilwoman Klug. Second by Councilman Gaines. Do we have any proponents? Again, the applicant is here, I believe. Do we have any opponents? Any council discussion? Please vote.
8 yeas, 0 nays.
That's all the regular agenda items. Committee reports. Public facilities met tonight. Any report back from that? Mr. Glover.
Yes, Mayor. We met to give the committee Public Service Committee an update and the Library Board an update on where we're at with the potential improvements to the public library. We also discussed the possibility of applying for a grant to help fund that project. So basically, it was an update at this point, and we're going to pursue the grant and see how that folds out, and then we probably will come back and ask the full board to vote on that.
Very good. Thank you very much. I don't think any other committees have met. Do we have any comments from the floor? See, we got a number of students with us. You guys get to come up to the podium and introduce yourselves. They're all looking at me. Everybody gets to. Come on up, all the students.
I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Nick Henninger. Sorry. Well,
You were the first one up. Tell Mr. I'm assuming you're all with Mr. Keller's class?
yes.
You were the first one up. Tell him you get extra credit.
Extra credit?
Tell him you get extra credit for being the first one.
He doesn't do
up.
that, sadly.
Ah.
I'd rather not. This seems too professional, but I'm Nick Henninger, just trying to finish out the year strong with the project, so
Thank you.
glad to be here.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm Paige Knight.
I'm Mallory Grace.
I'm Brittany Cousineau.
I'm Jalen Takamura.
I'm Megan Karras.
I'm Maddie Lutz.
I'm Jordan Davis.
I'm Corinne Hardister.
I'm Ashley Walker.
I'm John Hunt.
I'm Kylie Phelps. I'm Zipporah DeLong.
Thank you all. If anybody, especially the scouts, if you're working on a badge and you've got questions for us to meet a merit badge requirement, some of us will hang around after the meeting. Feel free to come up and visit with us if you need that. Any council comments? Mr. Ingberg.
I tried to catch your attention earlier. Could you perhaps mention where people could find information about Slide the City?
If I know, I've been following it on Facebook. Some of the communication that, since it's just become official, will still be coming out. So there will be communication coming out probably from the rec department, from the Downtown Business Association, through the normal city channels. But if people are Facebook users, you can go to Slide the City on Facebook, and they also have a website for Slide the City. That's probably the more important one. Go to Slide the City. They have a spot to select your city, and when you get to the specific city, you can actually sign up for their to be on the mailing list. The minute they open up for tickets, they're going to use that mailing list to notify people, and then ticket ordering will be online, and they will sell out, they claim. So if people are interested, probably going to the website and signing up for the mailing list is probably the most important part. And they describe on there how it runs and how the tickets work. I think what'd they tell us? About 6,000?
6,000 is what the maximum number they'll sell.
And they've got different fee structures. They've got a ticket where if you only want to go one time, you can buy that ticket. They've got they've got a pass that you can go all day multiple times, and they have a VIP pass that if you want to go an hour early and an hour late, it stays open for that as well. And I think it's important for people to know the fee is going to Slide the City, but they're sharing that with the partner organization, the Downtown Business Association, and then I think they're sharing it with a local cause as well. So the money is going back into the local community. And then Slide the City as an organization, because they're doing these in a number of cities across the United States, my understanding is they're taking some of their accumulated profits and then they're going into a third world country and providing safe drinking water and doing a program around that. So it's got both a local and an international effect. Any other questions, any other discussion? Just a couple of updates. Did go to the MAPA Council of Officials luncheon. Probably no major updates from that, other than they were talking about some of the planning they're doing. Been to a couple of the Chamber Coffee and Contacts events. Chief Lyons went to one of those, I believe, so thanks for getting out into the community already. Appreciate that. Several of us also attended the American Legion, in partnership with the foundation, had a fundraiser for Veterans Park. They had a steak fry, and from what I understand, they raised quite a bit of money through that, and that's going directly to Veterans Park. Mr. Stubbe, Mr. Hoynes, and I met with Mark Wayne and Denny Wilson from the county talking about a lot of the sewage studies that are going on. There's about 3 different approaches to that, and we want to make sure we understand how those fit together. And as we start being requested to fund things, we know we're funding the right thing for the long term and the short term. The chamber also had a legislative coffee. Mr. Mumgard and I went to that, got some updates from the state senators of what's happening down there. Mr. Mumgard, I don't know if there's anything specific to share out of that.
Other than the city of Bellevue is really interested in getting medical marijuana. And beyond that, we're not quite sure why.
Yeah, both of the senators at the state level that are pushing that are from Bellevue. And then a number of us also attended the distracted driving event at Papillion, La Vista South. Both police and fire were involved in that. If people aren't aware of that, it's a texting and drunk driving simulation that they put on. But they run it almost as a live event with live response, police, fire, including chaplains and coroners and helicopters, and they do it for the student body before prom. So pretty impactful event. I believe those are all the updates. Other than Slide the City is up now to 6,246 people. And that just went online last night. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Councilwoman Klug. Second by Councilman Glover. Please vote. Ms. Klug, Mr. Stubbe, Mr. Mumgard.
8 yeas, 0 nays.
And that number was just how many on Facebook say they're going. That was not ticket sales, so they're not sold out yet. We are adjourned.